I didn't press a button. I didn't press a button, but I pressed it just in time. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode. Episode? These aren't really episodes. I'm just used to saying the word episode, I think, whenever I'm having to do it. Welcome back to another Kobold Chats. It's Wednesday, once more, the middle of our week. And hopefully it's been a good week for all of you. It's been pretty good for me. But it's going to get even better because we got some good stuff to do. This is an episode. Thank you, Kim. It is an episode. We can call this an episode. Welcome back to another episode of Kobold Chats. Number, I don't know. Because I've only been here for like 3 or 4 of them. I've lost count already, actually. I think, actually, it's been about a month. An installment, iteration, adventure. I think any of those could work. I think it's been about a month since I've started doing these. So I'm going to go ahead. Wait, I think so. I think that's accurate. I'll check a calendar on that later. But I'm pretty sure that's true. Okay, well, I said later, but I immediately opened up my calendar so I could start checking. What is it? It's November right now. I started in October. Bam, bam. Oh, it's been a little over a month. I've been with Kobold Press a little over a month, and they haven't gotten rid of me yet, so I assume I'm doing something right. Thank you all so much for being here with me for this little over a month. But you know what? I've stalled for too long. It's time for us to get into the real nitty gritty of why we're here this week. Because I have a wonderful guest, a very lovely guest for all of you to meet. Well, not meet for the first time. You all have probably known her longer than I have. But Meagan, hi, hello. There was a little bit of a PDF, a little PDF thing. People could kind of see what we were going to talk about a little bit, but not a clear view. Meagan is here with me today. Meagan, do you want to introduce yourself to people who maybe do not know who you are?
I am Meagan Markle. I am a senior game developer at Kobold Press, which is just a really fancy way of saying I'm an editor, but I also do math.
Hey, you do more math than I do, and I salute you for it because I can't do math. I can, but it makes my brain hurt, you know?
I love it.
Someone has to. If there were people who didn't, if nobody in the world liked math, I think we'd be in a bit of a problem.
Yep, probably.
So I'm glad that there are people out there like you, not just for the world in general, but more specifically for games, because that's what really matters. Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who needs cars and planes and all that math? No, we need games.
We need games. I think I use games more than I use planes.
You know, I think that is accurate for me as well, yeah.
Right? So, I don't know. I think there's something to it. So thank you for being here with me today. We will be talking about some really fun stuff in like just a little bit, but we've got some really quick things that we need to run down. First and foremost, the Kobold Guide to Role Playing is now live for pre-order on the Kobold Press store, and you should go check it out. The Kobold guides. There's so many Kobold guides just for like kind of anything you would need for like almost like basically anything, right? There's Kobold guides to monsters, to magic, to being a game master, to being all these kinds of things. But now we have Kobold Guide to Role Playing with some essays by like some pretty like some what I would say impressive role players, like people who I would want to be taking this advice from. Look, Ginny D, Clint McElroy. Hold on, I gotta find out the list of names because it's a long list of people if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. Is there any? I guess the store might have. I'm gonna show you. Let's. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Let's go to the store really quick. Kobold Guide to Role Playing. I don't know why I'm looking all of this up right now. We definitely didn't need to do this, but now, you know, sometimes that's the blog. That is not the store, that's the blog. Smooth move on my part. I hope you're having a great time already. There we go. I'm going to type in role playing because that's going to get me somewhere, right?
Probably, yeah.
It's gotta get me. Come on, search. Yeah. Kobold Guides Role Playing. Look at that. Haha, it was the first thing on there. Because it's new and ready for you to buy, pre-order. Same.
Pre-order, yes.
Pre-order is kind of buying. It's like buying
Yep.
early. Yeah, so the Kobold Guide to Role Playing has essays that allow you to gain insight into getting into the mind of your villains, developing and role playing a character arc, using role playing as a storytelling device, role playing both high or low ability scores, game mastering more theatrically, and creating in character connections at the table, with essays from people like Michael E. Shea, Keith Ammann, Shanna Germain?
Germain.
Yeah. Okay, I thought I was right. Luke Gygax, and then Ginny D, B. Dave Walders, Bob the Builder? Oh, Bob the Worldbuilder. My brain glazed over the world part of that and was just so fascinated by the idea that
That
Bob,
would have been awesome.
right? If we
right?
could get, I'm sure Bob the Builder has a lot to say about role playing. And Clint McElroy, plus so many more. It's a good price. It's $12.99 for the PDF, $19.99 for a soft cover. I mean, holidays are right around the corner. You got that player who you were like, yo, I think you would just really, really enjoy this. Like, hey, I know you enjoy some of these people. I know you've been trying to dive into a little bit of role playing. I know you like reading books. Here's a book for you. Or maybe if you have a role player in your life that you're like, you could be a little better. Maybe do some reading. You know, I'd go, for whatever reason you want to get this book for people, please, 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 I would highly recommend, because I've been digging through some of the other Kobold guides and they've been super useful. So go out, grab it, pre-order.
You can also treat yourself for the holiday too.
Treat yourself for if you look at yourself in the mirror every day and go, I could be better at role playing. This is the book for you. Treat yourself, treat your friends, treat your family. You know, go out, go grab it, all of that good stuff. So, that's the Kobold Guide to role playing. I just kind of wanted to go over just like very briefly over some of the blog updates, because if you don't already know, the Kobold Press blog has so much just free resources, free content there right for you. Almost every day there's a new blog post that has,
I think so.
yeah, it's, if not every day, it's almost every day where there is something there for you. Over the past week, since the last Kobold chats, there's been a Tome Unrestricted, which is kind of similar to what we'll kind of be talking about today.
Spoilers, gosh.
Yeah, cool. Oh, I'm sorry. To change up monsters from Tome Beast 3 to surprise your players and fit your campaign. Improv. There's an entire series based on just helping you, like, hone, talking about role playing, your improv skills for GMing, for playing, and like teaching you some very basic improvisational like skills and concepts, so that you can play at your table better, so you can play with the people better, so you can have more fun, be more involved, be more immersed in your world and your character, and feel more confident doing so.
Yeah, I think it's the confidence thing. That's the,
It's definitely
because it's the players go this way and you're like, but,
yeah,
getting better at improv lets you're not sitting there saying, but.
yeah, exactly. It'll help you get the gears flowing, giving you a guide on ways in which you can think about things, which will just help you think about them once, it's time to get them at the table. Moving to Midgard, the edge of the world, just more glorious Midgard stuff. Planar Adventures 5, we talked briefly about Planar Adventures before. If you're running a planar campaign, or your campaign has some, planar traits, themes, and so on and so forth, the Planar Adventures has subclasses, magic items. Like, it has so many different things for you to be able to up your planar adventures, because that's what it's called. You get exactly what's on the cover.
Well,
right
yeah,
on the
we
title.
don't want to deceive anybody.
Yeah.
You get exactly what we say.
You get exactly what we said. And then Living Locations 2, Minor Abilities, is a series that introduces the concept of living locations, places that possess a primitive sentience, personality, and awareness. This time, minor abilities in a location can use to frighten those who come within. Places that are alive are so cool to me. Who doesn't love a haunted house where the house is just an actual thing? Who doesn't love an ancient temple that is just a living, breathing thing that has instilled with some kind of ability or power purely just because of the faith and or will that people put into it by practicing their faith in that. It's just, fantasy is cool, and we should just embrace it being weirder and weirder and cooler. Is just my opinion, So that's the blog. Go check it out. Again, that was November 15th, November 14th, November 13th, see, almost every day. Almost every day there's something new. It's right there on the Kobold Press blog. Just write koboldpress.com/blog. Bam. You've got it. You found it. Last thing before we get into our big thing that we're talking about today is go check out Humble Bundle. There is currently a Humble Bundle right now for that's just 5th edition. Did I type that in wrong? How did I type it in wrong? I think it's just Humble. Is it? Come on, Stream Elements, don't do this to me. I did it. Meagan, you were in the call when I was doing it.
Yep.
Why isn't it work? Wait, it is. It should be. Hello? Am I wrong? Am I the person who's wrong?
Shouldn't be. It's just, well, this Humble Bundle, I think, does different things. Maybe is it Humble Bundle RPG maybe or something?
No, the command name should just be !Humble Bundle.
Oh, you're talking about on the I have no idea how Twitch works at all.
Yeah. No, that's so fair. Twitch, Stream Elements, stop being rude. I'm just gonna put the. I did a whole thing. I try to be prepared every week, and somehow there is always something. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. There's always something. I try so hard to be prepared. Okay, thank you. So, go check out the Humble Bundle for $25. You can get over 73 items, and there's so much Kobold Press in here. We've got Tome of Beasts 3. I know Tome of Heroes, Critical Roles. I know Tome of Beasts 3. Tome of Beasts 3 Layers. Tomb of Tiberesh. Warlock Grimoire. Like, there's so much. There's so much Kobold Press in here, which is absolutely wild to me. And like, for $25.
That's for a good cause too.
And for charity, and also you get just like you can do good and get some things also alongside it if doing good isn't good enough for you. You can also get a lot of really cool books. So just wanted to highlight that really quick. An amazing deal right there with some really, really, really good stuff. A lot of really good Kobold Press stuff as well. So, maybe if you don't already have a lot of those books, this is a very, very, very good time to get those. So, yeah.
Like if you're new to us, you just heard about us, the Tales of the Valiant. There you go. You can get a whole bunch of Kobold stuff.
Exactly. And the Tales of the Valiant preview PDF is also in this bundle as well. So if you don't already have that, you can get that and all of the stuff to go. Like, you get a bunch of monsters and adventures that you could just run right alongside of it, because Tales of the Valiant is compatible with all previous Kobold Press products. You don't gotta go and make new stuff and go and make new stuff, but you don't have to struggle and be like, oh, how am I gonna do all of this? I've been running this 5e thing and it's so hard. And they're like, no, it's the same. It's the same stuff. You don't gotta change any, or you if you want to change some stuff, you can. You don't have to. It is not a necessity, is what I'm saying. So, go out, grab that. So, Meagan.
Yes, sir.
Without further ado, it's time for us to talk monsters. The reason why I brought you here, because we are going to look through Tome Unleashed for 5th edition by Kobold Press, written by Mike Wellum, and has a bunch of amazing people in here, including you. So, what if, for people who don't know what Tome Unleashed is, do you want to give them a quick rundown of like the concept, what it is that, what's the goal of Tome Unleashed and the series that this kind of is a part of?
Yeah, so Tome Unleashed is part of Tome Unbound. I can't remember what we called Creature Codex as one, but each of our monster books has had a an Unbound or an Unleashed or something like that PDF that we put out afterwards. Mm-hmm. They started as a blog series, and as Kendrick just said, there's one right now, Unrestricted, that's based off of Tome Beast 3. And the idea with them is taking the monsters that we have given you in in our monster books and spinning them differently, right? Like, and it shows kind of how you can do that, right? So if you want something, you're like, this creature's kind of what I need, but not exactly what I was looking for. Or, hey, this creature's really cool, but I want an Arctic version, right? Mm-hmm. The Tome Unleashed series is kind of helps walk you through that for some of the creatures, and then gives you just guidance on how you can do the same thing for the other, 390 that aren't covered in the Unleashed series.
Yeah. Which is super cool, and I think like is very like close to the heart of, at least for me, of what Kobold Press has kind of been about, right? Is giving players and game masters the tools to like spark that kind of imagination, spark that kind of creativity of like, hey, here's what you are like, you have the base thing, you have your foundation, but you can always build on top of it. You can always change things to fit your game, your style, the kind of thing that you're trying to achieve. And even when you're buying monster books like Tome of Beast or Creature Codex, you can still keep changing and modifying and adding onto those things to just better fit your to better fit your game. I think it's super cool. Like, being able to give those tools to people and like, empower.
Yeah, I think that is something a lot of GMs, especially newer GMs, struggle with, is they don't think that they can change things. They're like, well, it's written like this, so I have to keep it like this. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, you don't. You don't. I mean, you shouldn't break every rule you come across as a GM. Your players might get a little upset about that. But
you are still playing a game for a reason.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, if something doesn't quite fit what you need, totally change it. Right? Like, make it work for the game that you want to play and the story you want to tell.
Yeah. So, for today, I thought we would just go through some of the monsters that come up in Tome Unleashed. Tome Unleashed specifically, I think you told me, is pulling from the revised Tome of Beast 1, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Which was not the new one, but the first Tome of Beast book was my first Kobold Press book.
Oh,
yay! Yeah. So Tome of Beast 1 holds a very special place in my heart, personally.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so let's check it out. The first one, and you and I both had some questions on how we would pronounce this. The All-Seed.
Yeah, the deer people. I have to spell it properly in the books. I don't have to speak it, so.
Yeah, you can decide how you want to pronounce this at your table. We will not tell you. There's no one is forcing you to pronounce it in any way, shape, or form.
Right, it's all part of being, flexible for any game master. You pronounce it however you want to pronounce it. There we go.
Exactly. But I love their design. I love their, they're kind of like elven centaurs, I guess. which is
but with
cool.
deer instead of horses. Yeah,
Yeah. Like
it's really cool.
antlers. You put antlers on anything, I'm all over it. It's so cool. Antlers are great. It's the only thing centaurs are missing are cool deer antlers.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, at least in the Midgard lore, the Alseid, their antlers are supposed to show not just their age, but it's also a mark of status in their culture.
Oh, interesting.
So like how their antlers, because if they, if you're kicked out of the culture, they cut your antlers, and that's a sign of, you've been exiled, kind of thing. And then so it kind of shows age, but also status among
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So the antlers actually like matter, which is really neat.
See, that is super neat. Just looking through here. So the Allseeds are graceful woodland cousins to centaurs with the slender upper body of an elf and the lower body of a deer. They see the forest as a friend and are suspicious of outsiders who do not share this view. So, looking over the Allseed and looking at there's a few here. I think there's two. So
Yeah, I think it's two variants in here. Yeah.
So we have the fur all seed, and then we have the spear scourge, which is one hell of a name if you if you really look at it. So what would you say is the biggest differences? Like what do you see here as being like, I guess, not the biggest difference, right? But the most like the pivot with the all seed that we're seeing here in comparison.
Why this one rather than the standard one? Okay. So for the spear scourge, I think the idea here was in, and a lot of our stuff is kind of inspired. Well, not a lot, but some of it's inspired by our Midgard world. And in Midgard, there's a sect of Alseid that are very bonded to magical spears. And we created that as a class or a subclass you can play in Tome of Heroes. So if you want to play an Alseid character and you wanted to have this like magical spear that you can like throw out at people and then it reappears in your hand and have this really cool. It's a fun little class.
Yeah.
And I think this is taking that but giving you the monster stats for it, right? So instead of you having to create an Alseid PC and then have that go against your characters or your players, you can just take this stat block. But it has a lot of the same abilities here. They can like recall their spear after they throw it and everything like that. Like that's kind of the I think the inspiration here is that it's harkening back to now you can have that thing that you read about but you couldn't find anywhere.
Yeah. I think one thing that I definitely I really like about this and a lot of monster design that I'm starting to see come out is the bonus action for monsters, because it's like being a GM and running a monster. A lot of the times, like after like the first like 2 or 3 turns of it, it feels like, well, this monster is just going to keep doing kind of this. Like, it's going to change its tactics, obviously, based on the scenario. But the things that it can do every turn feel kind of boring a lot of the time.
Breathes fire on you, and then it claws you. The next turn it claws you, and the next turn it claws you. And then if everyone is whiffing both ways, you're just sitting there like having a slap fight, and that's
drag, it. Like a tail whip. Maybe they'll try to like grapple, and it's like it. There, I feel like there are a lot of really interesting, flavorful, options that we could be giving monsters. That could be things like bonus actions or reactions, things that aren't like just like a legendary action or like a thing where you're like, okay, I have to come up with, I want this monster to be able to like, grab you and do a thing. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make it do contested athletics check, and then you're having to like come up with things on the fly, like in order to just allow the monster to do really cool things that otherwise could be baked in a way that respects action economy and also gives the GM just more tools to work with every turn and like more ways to use things that the players will immediately recognize as being familiar, I suppose, on a mechanical level.
For sure, and that's part of what the Tome Unleashed series is about, is making sure that if you do have a creature and you want it to do something like grab, right? And you know that, hey, I want it to constrict something like a snake. Well, then go to the snake stat block, grab the constrict action, right? Now this creature has a constrict action, and it's just that easy. Just like grab it and drag it and drop it in, right? Or you can replace one of its existing attacks if you're worried about damage balance or something like that. Then just look, the numbers that the creature's currently doing, have it replace that attack, and it does the same amount of damage or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you like bonus actions and reactions, I'm not allowed to spoil too much. But you'll be happy with Tales of Valiant.
Oh well, I mean, in the alpha, in the preview document, that I was already recognizing some of those changes and was really, really excited as I was reading through it and be like, oh yeah, finally, finally, I can use a bonus action too. And there's
like the owlbear can grab you, and then as a bonus action, rip you in half. It's great.
That's great. Look, see, I love that for the owlbear. Finally getting a little bit up on that action economy that the players always have in their control. So in comparison to the Spear Scourge owl seed, we have the fur owl seed.
Yes.
Harsher alpine climates and hunt among evergreen trees. Ooh,
Yeah,
cool.
so it looks like Mike Whelan, the designer on this, it looks like he was going more for, because with the cold resistance, he's definitely wanting it to be Arctic, right? He gave it a Warhammer, so it's definitely, these are going to be your like beefier Alsaid, right? They're going to be the ones that are going to look almost as big as Centaur, right? They're going to look a little, not quite as slight. And then it throws like a nettle ball, which is really cool, like a little spear of pine needles that like bursts into shards, which is really kind of cool.
That's so cool. And I think more, especially intelligent creatures, should have more like tools that they use. Yeah. I think it's a thing that we've gotten, like, we give it to goblins, we give it to kobolds, right? Like they're like, oh, they're so small, they need all these tools and traps, but like so do bigger creatures as well. Like humans, we make so many traps. We like, that's our whole thing, is that we use tools and items. And like seeing like more stuff where it's like, oh yeah, they're hunters. Of course they would have hunting tools and stuff that they could use in combat. Yeah, that's super cool. I love that.
Oh yeah,
little nettle ball.
It's a lot of fun. And then the other stuff here with the Alsaid is just some magic items and spells that are inspired by it. That's the other thing we do with the Unleashed series, is we give you, if there's something, an ability that you like on a creature, and your players might like it as a fun thing that their characters can do, you can give it to them in some way, right? Like we've got a returning spear, because the Spear Scourge has the ability to recall its spear. And then we have a terrain friend, which allows you to... Oh yeah, it's just makes you better at like tracking and getting through the woods and stuff like that. So, which is something that all of the Alsaid just automatically have. They can just go through forests and not let anybody follow them or anything.
That's really good.
So it's basically, you're taking inspiration from the monster abilities and then turning it into either like a one-time use items that the players can use. Like what if the players wanted to grab the nettle ball, right?
Yeah.
The fur Alsaid didn't use the 4 that were in its pack, right? It just used the 1. And so now the players have these 3 nettle balls, and here you can just give it to them as an item, right? And just throw it, or they can throw it, it bursts into its needles, and then it's a fun little one-time use thing. It's a little different than Alchemist Fire,
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, because now that I'm thinking about it, even on the player side of things, like there aren't really a lot of great like thrown, unless you're making it yourself or like you're an artificer. There aren't really a lot. I'm always, as a person who loves playing a human fighter, I also love items. I love gathering random items. I'm like, I'm going to use this for something. I'm going to like, I'm the kind of player who will be like, yeah, I'm taking my short rest to fill all these glass bottles with lantern oil, so just in case we need some Molotov cocktails, we have them on us at some point. Like, that's the kind of player I am.
I did that too as a kid, because 2nd edition, I started playing in 2nd edition, and 2nd edition there's a lot in the equipment section that kind of encourages that. So like as a kid, I always had I was like, okay, I'm going to buy this much oil and this much rope. And so each piece of oil is going to have a little piece of rope in it, and I can just like light it and throw it. Yeah, no, because that's what humans do, right? Like you said, humans, we have traps, we're creative. It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. And there's no reason for monsters or I guess people who like the owls see it like they're intelligent like people who have had to deal with hunting, combat, conflict,
Yep.
war. Like there's no reason why they wouldn't have anything to make it easier for themselves to do all of that, you know?
Yep. Well, and the other thing too with the stat block is because the Alseid can leave no tracks when they go through the forest. That's another thing that can cue you in as a game master of you can set up traps, right?
Exactly.
And the players don't see tracks happen. They'd have to be able to see the trap itself. So if you're thinking like Return of the Jedi, when the Mogwai are dropping like the
The
logs
big
down on
logs
people,
down. Yeah.
right? Like little things like that, because your players wouldn't be able to see any tracks from anybody that's wandered around. They would have to notice the trap itself, which might be a log up in the tree that's hanging.
Yeah.
And how many people ever look up, right? Like,
So few. So few. If movies and media have taught me anything, no one ever looks up.
right?
And yeah, no, it's really really interesting, and I love them like as like I love them conceptually, and I would love to
Did I say
see
Mogwai? I think Ewoks. Did I say the
Ewoks.
wrong
Yeah,
word? I said Dibbit.
Mogwai are
Are
the
in
creatures in
Gremlins. Yeah.
Gremlins. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey, it was Halloween recently,
Yeah,
okay? Forgive me.
you're so good. You are. So, I didn't even like immediately clock that it was
I'm
wrong.
just,
So,
I need to turn in my Star Wars fan badge.
it's
I'm
it's
sorry.
okay. Mr. Lucas isn't here to to scold you. But yeah, I'm so it makes me think, right? Because they don't leave behind, they don't leave behind tracks, right? They're able to travel for the most part, unseen, unheard, unless they want to be. It makes me wonder, like, how do how do are they able to keep track of each other and of and like ways in which they would have to do that, right?
Yeah.
If if they're like, hey, I want one of my own people to be able to follow me, but I don't naturally leave tracks. Like, what are other ways in which to do it? And like now, I'm imagining a scenario of your players having an all seed guide through a territory that is like their tribes, and having to point out, okay, don't go there because there's a trap here, because they can see a warning that
Yeah.
only that
Like,
like
and it could
only
just be
they
like a
would know to
symbol
look
carved
for.
on like wood in a tree or something.
Yeah, and it's like finding new, like having to think of, okay, because this is true about these creatures, what are the new ways in which these creatures have to interact with each other, right? Because they have to live in communities, they have to be able to exist. Like, they don't want to randomly be walking into their own traps that they couldn't tell was there because no one leaves a trace, right? Like,
Right.
they have to. And like stuff like this is like like it sparks the creative, it gives you that creative spark, right? That like, oh, because this is true, these other things have to be true. How do I
Right.
make this super flavorful, and how do I make this a part of the world in a way that my characters or my players are going to find interesting, and that
Yeah.
give characterization to these people and this world, and these otherwise what could just be like, oh, dear people that live in the wood. you know
Yep.
yeah,
Right.
super super cool. So moving on from the all seed, we next have the chronoment the chron
Chrono.
the
An elemental that's
chronomental,
time based. There we go. We'll just
a t-
shorten it that way.
a time based elemental is not something I've ever thought of before. I'm going to be so honest.
I kudos to our designers. I wouldn't have thought of it either. So
Yeah, right. Like, what is an elemental that represents that is time? What? Oh, well, I guess we're about to find out, huh? Chronomentals are beings of pure temporal energy, flickering in and out of existence and living between the ticks of the clock. Sages, priests, and common folk view them as harbingers of calamity, as they are drawn to moments of tremendous chaos and strife. Oh, that's so cool. That's really cool.
yep.
Yeah,
And a lot of their base abilities are all related to manipulating time, which usually involves like slowing people down, right? So you
mm-hmm,
can only take an action or a bonus action. So similar to like the slow spell.
mm-hmm.
or it makes them harder to hit because they can like move around and everything. And
Yeah.
it looks like for this one, Mike went even harder into that, right? Like if you're going to be time based, here are these other things that you could just give it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's I'm looking at some of these abilities, and I'm just mad. Like there's so much like adventure possibilities with some of
Yeah.
these things, right? The loop time, someone being stuck in a loop. Like, yeah, this says it's for a minute, but that's for combat, right? So what if outside of combat it was a little longer, right? Like
Yeah.
just an area where people are just kind of looped in the same kind of like a broken VHS or broken record player, just like back like that's a horrifying thing to come across as like
Right.
a player where like you're walking into town and everyone in the town square is just like painfully looping back and back and back. Like that's one way to bring on dread, and also
Yep.
kind of cluing in your players of like the kind of thing that they might be dealing with, you know.
Yep. Well, and it could be because you can also take inspiration from movies. Because in a situation like that, what if there are multiple chrono elementals in the area
Mm-hmm.
and they're causing essentially Groundhog's Day?
Mm-mm.
And the players step into that, and they're the only ones that can see it because they're from the outside,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like they didn't grow up here, they weren't born here. Because it says they're drawn to areas of calamity. So, like maybe the town your players just came across had some great tragedy in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and so the elementals are just here. And so then you have that effect you're talking about, like everyone, the players are like, this is really weird, I just saw that person walk out of that building and then they just walked out of it again.
Yeah,
Okay, that's odd,
that's
right?
that's a little odd.
Yep.
Yeah, no, time as an elemental is just a fascinating idea.
Right.
Also, wait, does it not have a stat block other than? I mean, I guess how do you fight a
Yeah.
time elemental? You know?
Well, these are alternate traits. So
Oh,
these weren't,
gotcha.
instead of it being a full new stat block, these are just extra traits that you can give it.
Understood. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, these traits and actions are great. Like this, the future bringing a copy of itself from the future to be able to fight alongside it is kind of a wild concept.
Right.
What if it dies in like 5 minutes? Does that mean it's bringing a 4 minute? Like, if it dies in this combat, is it bringing a version of itself from like 20 seconds in the future to come fight with it for a minute?
I guess. But then the part of it that's from 25 seconds in the future is still alive. So only the 20-second future version dies.
This is why time travel is a hard thing to do in fiction,
Right?
everybody.
Exactly.
It's this is why it's so hard. Maybe it's from a future alternate timeline of it where it lives longer than this combat.
That's true. Yeah,
No,
it could be like that.
maybe. Um, yeah, no, this is super cool. And then the magic items for this: a time suit. Hello, what is a time suit? While you're wearing this
Um,
armor, you gain +1 to AC. You're immune to being petrified. When you are targeted by any spell that alters your reference of time, such as haste or slow, you can choose to automatically succeed on a resulting saving throw and regain 3d8 hit points. The
yeah,
armor's
so it's anybody tries to do timey-wimey stuff on you, you're like, nope, not
actually
happening.
no. I have my time suit. That's so good. Like it's just like, wait, would you would you get it? I guess it's inspired by the Chronomental, not
Hmm.
necessarily.
Correct.
I don't know why I was imagining these magic items being like Monster Hunter boons of
Oh,
like you've killed it, now you've taken a part of it and forged a new magic item out of. I mean, I guess they could be if you want them to be, but also
that's true. I mean, in your world as a game master, you could be like, well, the time suit is great, but in order to make one, you need leather armor, and then you need essence of a chrono elemental, right?
you know, you need the essence of time, which you can only extract from a Chronomental.
And only within 1 minute of killing it, because otherwise it's lost to time.
Lost to time. So good. And then the amulet of chronal slipping. When a creature you see moves within 5 feet, you can use your reaction to shift yourself to a place you occupy. What? Wait, hold on.
Yeah, so it's like at some point in the last minute, you were over here, and then you're now over here, and somebody comes up close to you, and you're like, nope, I'm back over here, actually.
Now that's a
So you like
great way to
reverse
set a
time,
trap.
yeah.
That's a great way
Right?
to set a trap. You know, you're standing on top of a pit that you've carefully balanced yourself on so it doesn't fall under. Someone starts running up to you, you teleport away, they fall in. Works every time. The
Yep.
Acme special. Uh, there's something very fun about getting very Looney Tunesy with
Right.
with role playing games.
Well, and if you're going to be dealing with time, you're going to have to get Looney Tunesy with it, because if you try and get too realistic with it, you're just going to give yourself a headache.
So true. You're so true. Borrowed. These are so temporal shunt. Oh, shooting people through time. Wait, a temporal. I'm sorry, and now I'm just reading through these because these are so cool. A temporal void surrounds a creature of your choice that you see in within range. Target must succeed a wisdom saving throw. Be removed from the normal passage of time for the duration, becoming a capacity. Where are you putting them?
They're just like stuck between. So like time continues on, and they're in this kind of like
They're
limbo type.
stuck in a singular moment in time, unable to exist in the past or its future. That feels cruel and unusual, I feel.
I mean, it only lasts 1 minute, right?
Yeah, for us. How long is not existing in time? How long does that feel like it lasts?
Well, that's true.
See, it's the consequences. You have to think about the consequences of it.
Right.
That's where you get the narrative ideas from. We're like, well, if someone's got to be upset. Like, I don't know. I can't get into this. My brain will just start. I'll just start getting really too into it. What do we got here? Horde golems. Love a horde golem. Born from the paranoia of dragons. That's so good.
Yes. The Horde Golem was a fan favorite.
It's good.
And I think it looks like what Mike has done is Mike made a lesser and greater version of the Horde Golem. So now your Wormling can have a Horde Golem,
Aww.
and your Ancient can have a Horde Golem. So instead of it just being the one stat block, and really realistically only the adult would have that, now you can have all kinds of Horde Golem sizes.
All kind of horde golem sizes. I love the look at this image is like mountains of gold. I don't know what I would do. What would I do in a situation where, I've snuck in, the dragon's out, I don't have to worry, we've got all this treasure. Oh god, the gold pile is coming to life and trying to bury me under its weight. Like, what do you do? What do you do? You die. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I die.
I mean, you gotta think about like the scenes in what is it, DuckTales, where he's like swimming through his gold. Just imagine if the gold like came up and ate him, right?
Mm-hmm. The ultimate mimic. Like, it's this poor dude. I don't know what to tell you, but even the lesser one is a large construct. So that's still large. That's larger than a person, right? It's maybe about what? I'm looking around my room. Maybe about the size of my room. Maybe a little smaller. Is how I
so it's a decent sized pile for a young dragon to sleep on.
Yeah, it's been collecting taxes from the local farmers for like a good couple of months, maybe. Hasn't really had anything to do with it. Now you're trying to steal from it, and it's going to break your bones. It's okay. It's all good.
Yep.
So yeah, these are just like larger and smaller ones for and I think that's something to like keep in mind, especially when like for game masters, that if you have a monster and you're like, this one's too strong, or this one's too big, or this one's too something for my party now, but I still want to use it, just make it smaller. Just make it smaller. Make it a little weaker. Take off some of those hit points. Cut down like maybe 1 or 2 stats to make up for its size and lack of experience. But like, if you want it, just make it bigger. You want jeez. You want a huge, powerful horde of cranium rats. Just take the horde one and make them bigger, make them stronger. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, it fills like 5 squares. It fills the whole room. That's great.
Yeah. Who doesn't love a nice big pile of cranium rats.
Well, and the other thing with this too is that if you want your players to experience a dragon, but maybe not right now, they end up in the lair and then they fight the horde golem, right? So then they're having to face what the dragon left behind, and that can be the case for anything, right? Like you want your players to have a taste of something, so you let them experience its lair and the protections that it placed in its lair rather than the creature itself.
Yeah.
And that can kind of further tell the story of either, because these are made from dragon paranoia, right?
Yeah.
So then the fact that this exists, that's then your players can make checks to be like, why did the gold attack us? Well, the dragon's obviously very paranoid, right? And then they can even look into why is it paranoid and maybe even use that against the dragon when they finally face the dragon, right?
They go, why is the dragon paranoid that someone will come and take its money while we've broken into its cave so we can take its money? Why would it be worried about this? What's there to be scared about?
Right?
It's like, oh no, it was us the whole time.
Right?
It's so funny. Also love this hoarding coin purse. A leather purse that fits comfortably in your hands. Yeah. It can fit 500 small coins or similar objects. The purse has 3 charges. You can use an action to expend 1 charge to draw up to 100 coins worth at least 100 gold pieces to create a swarm of coins that you can to create a swarm of coins that you can throw up to 20 feet away from you. And it acts like a swarm of rats, but it's coins, and that's super cool. Talking about cranium rats, without the keen, they don't get. Sadly, your gold doesn't get the keen smell trait. It doesn't learn to smell while it's in your bag.
Can't sniff around.
Yeah. The swarm returns to the purse as individual coins in an hour when it's reduced to 0 hit points, or if you use. So yeah, you can just make items that allow you to make little swarms that you could just have around. Are cool because that's a cool character right there. I just threw out swarms of things to fight for me. That's all of my bug swarm druid. That's I love that. That's just my favorite thing is when people fight with swarms of bugs because I love swarms of bugs. Swarms of coins, however, maybe a little cooler.
Yeah. I mean, because it depends, because you could also reflavor it, right? It just has to be worth at least 100 gold. It could be a bunch of gemstones, right? So if you wanted to have that kind of like crystal character or gemstone character.
That's really cool. I didn't even think about that. That's really, really cool. Yeah, because it's just got to be worth 100 gold.
Yep.
And then spells creating your own horde golem or a villain making theirs. Distracting glint. You project an image of a coin. Okay, this is so. Is this a first level spell? Yeah, you project an image of a coin struck by light. Go ooh.
Yep. Look over there at the shiny coin.
That's so good. That's so funny. Because you can do this with minor illusion if you really wanted to, but you don't get the wisdom check that they have to make. The disadvantage on the wisdom check that they have to make sure it's not real.
Well, and this is also like almost 200 feet, whereas minor illusion.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true.
I love that bards get it.
Yeah.
So you have the bard that's like up on stage performing and is like, all right, that is a coin over there. People are gonna look at.
Yeah. Or you put it in the you put the fake coin in your tip jar so people because once someone's already tipped, it's just easier for more people to tip after, and you focus their vision on it, and they're like, I guess I should put something in there. There's only 1 coin. I feel kind of bad. They're playing pretty nice, you know.
I love it. So many uses for it.
Tragically, it seems like we have used up our time here, but we got through quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, you can always come back whenever you want. We would love to have you, Meagan.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. But yes, we have hit our hour. So you know what? If you want to read or learn anything about the rest of these monsters, hey, guess what? You're gonna have to go buy it. I don't know what to tell you. You're gonna have to go buy it. That's the deal. So
Yep.
go buy
Just
it.
keep in mind that Tome Unleashed is a companion to the Tome of Beasts, the Tome of Beasts Volume 1, 2023 edition.
Yes. So if you don't already have Tome of Beasts, I would highly recommend getting Tome of Beasts. Again, it's one of my favorite series from Kobold Press. Tome of Beasts 1, very near and dear to my heart. And you can always just use more monsters. You can always use more monsters, more inspiration. And with Tome Unleashed, it will give you even more inspiration on other ways you can use what is already hundreds upon hundreds and hundreds of monsters and tools that you can use to your benefit. So don't miss out. Get Tome of Beasts, get Tome Unleashed, and come back. That's your homework. Next week, come back. Give me a new monster that you've made and tell me why it's really, really cool.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I'm not usually a homework person, but this is your homework for all of you in chat. Meagan, let the people know who you are, and if you wanna plug anything, social media, whatever you want, this is your time to do so.
Oh. I'm not that interesting, but okay. Yes, I'm Meagan Markle, senior game developer at Kobold Press. I technically have a Twitter, GM Moodwolf. I don't really post anything. I just like a lot of really cool people. So,
okay, you're a really cool person.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you everybody again for coming to Kobold Chats. I hope this was a nice little relaxing bit in the middle of your week. Excuse me, got some mucus there all of a sudden. Don't forget, please go check out the thing that we were talking about earlier,
the Humble Bundle.
Check out the Humble Bundle. Check out Kobold Guide to Role Playing. If you haven't already gotten your pre-order for Tales of the Valiant, now's a good time to do it because why not? Why not? So Tales of the Valiant, you can go pre-order that either in BackerKit or the Kobold Press store. Link to the Kobold Press store is now in the comments. And PAX U is so close. We're so close to PAX U. It's in 2 weeks, which feels like 2 weeks. Which feels wild.
Where did 2023 go?
Yeah, right? It's already almost December. An entire year has passed, and it feels like maybe a third of that. In my it's gone by so fast. Time is weird. It's all wibbly wobbly and stuff. We will see you all here next week, same time, same channel. I've been your host, Kendrick or Kendo, whichever you prefer. You can find me everywhere on the internet at Kendo Makes Films. But more specifically, you can find me here every week, same time, same channel. That's all I got for you. I hope you all have a good rest of your week. Please make sure to go out, eat enough food, drink enough water, get enough sleep, and take care of yourself. Because self-care is very important, especially in the times we're living in right now. Don't forget to love yourself like I love you. Bye. I forgot to press the button. Buttons pressed.